So Andrew Yang went on an episode of CNN to discuss legalizing marijuana and how his views are different from one of the Democrat frontrunners, Joe Biden. Now, I want to go ahead and just get this out there. Any of you viewers who may watch some other channels, Secular Talk beat me to this issue. So I don't want you to think I'm just copying Secular Talk. This was actually on my list of things to do on my day off today, video-wise. I had to go run some errands. By the time I came back, he'd already uploaded a video about this very topic. But there will be a difference in this video, so stick with me, because we're going to actually show clip of him on CNN, whereas Kyle's and Secular Talk's episode was still very informative. He just read from a Forbes article. Okay? So that being said, we're going to take a look real quick at the comments Yang had made about how he's differing from Joe Biden on this issue. So let's take a look.
New tonight, legalizing pot. Andrew Yang referencing the iconic series Breaking Bad with the tweet you see there of him surrounded by drugs in a hazmat suit. He did it to highlight his support for legalizing marijuana. Now, the tweet after these comments about marijuana by one of the Democratic frontrunners for 2020. Here's Joe Biden.
The truth of the matter is, there's not nearly been enough evidence that has been acquired as to whether or not it is a gateway drug. It's a debate, and I want a lot more before I legalize it nationally. I want to make sure we know a lot more about the science behind it.
Joe, no. Best way I know how to describe it. Joe, just no. So you need to know more information about the science behind it. You don't know if it's a gateway drug. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's just start chopping those down point by point so this video doesn't take all day. First of all, science behind it. Because the federal government keeps it illegal, keeps it as Schedule 1, they won't use it for testing for medical purposes at the federal level. There's pretty much no research being done there because of the way it's scheduled. But I get we're talking about mass legalization, so let's just focus on that. It's a gateway drug. No, it's not. Marijuana is not a gateway drug. Now, many people out there probably may hear that and say, oh, you're crazy. Yes, it is. People get on it and then they, well, look, they end up on something much worse. Now, why would that be? Probably because there has been such a war on marijuana for so long that it costs an awful lot to buy marijuana. Now, you could buy some old cheap stuff that's no good, old dirt cheap, crap on the street. But good, strong stuff, do your own research. It's not cheap, which means people who want to get high and can't afford those prices end up turning to other substances that they can get their hands on cheaper, which is why heroin and opioids have become so popular, especially opioids. Why? Because doctors are dang near handing them out like freaking candy. I made a video on this not too long ago where Ohio, as a matter of fact, it was Andrew Yang who brought this point up, that at one point in Ohio, there were more opioid prescriptions than people. Now, how in the hell do you get to that point? Okay, so no, Joe, the gateway drugs, if you're going to argue any substance, cigarettes, alcohol, they're both legal. Kids get a hold of them too. Okay, but, the cigarettes do one thing for you, but they want to get high. The only reason marijuana becomes any sort of gateway to anything worse is because people who want to get high that bad, and they can't afford price because of how the government has had such a war on marijuana for how long. So they go after these other substances that are easier to come by. There's plenty of marijuana floating around out there. You just can't argue it ends up becoming more costly, especially when doctors are handing out prescription pills basically like candy. So that's problem number one right there. But let's hear what Andrew Yang has to say about it.
Out front now, Democratic candidate for president, Andrew Yang. So, Andrew, you think marijuana should be legalized nationwide, and you hear Joe Biden, he says he wants more evidence. He's concerned it could be a gateway drug. Are you sure Biden is wrong?
Yeah, most Americans agree that we should be legalizing marijuana at the federal level, in part because it's already legal in several states. Many Americans are already using it for pain relief, and it's safer than prescription opiates in most every case. We also know that when we administer these marijuana laws, we're deeply uneven and even racist in the way we administer these laws. So most Americans agree that we should legalize marijuana, and that's where I am. I believe that Joe actually will end up evolving on this issue over time if he sees the same evidence that I have.
So on that front, there are a lot of confusing studies on pot, as we all know, right? You've got, cannabis-related ER visits in Colorado tripled since it was legalized, but then another one saying essentially no impact on violent crime in Colorado or Washington. So, you can get different outcomes depending on which study you look at. What makes you so sure, really fundamentally, Andrew, that full legalization won't open the door to a Pandora's box we may deeply regret, just because there's a lot we don't know?
Well, Aaron, there's a difference between legalization and complete lack of regulation. I mean, there are legal substances in this country like tobacco that there are strict rules around. For example, you can't advertise on school grounds. So marijuana is not something that we should just have out there completely free and easy, but it should be legal so that we can regulate it properly, make it safer and more standard for Americans, and also have some of the tax revenues that can help us counteract any of the negative effects.
So a couple of things that Andrew Yang brought up right there. First of all, many people are using it to counteract getting on opiates and opioids. Okay? Yeah, because it works. And you can't get hooked on marijuana the same way you get hooked on opiates. It's not how it works. There's people out there who will debate you and say you can get addicted to marijuana, and if you do your homework, the only thing that can happen to you as far as any sort of addiction goes to marijuana, you don't get the shakes, you don't get withdrawals. No. It's not that sort of an addiction. It is simply that there is a chemical, from what I've studied on this, and I can't remember exactly how it all works. There's a chemical that interacts with your brain. Your brain produces the chemical, and I can't remember the name of it to save my life. But it's what makes you happy. And your brain is supposed to try to naturally produce that on its own. Okay? But marijuana contains this chemical, so when you're injecting it into your body, your brain is then taking in more and more of this chemical. And if you become a super stoner, now, on the contrary, there's been people who've been smoking like Bob Marley for a long, long time that claim they don't have this issue. Maybe that's because they're still smoking. Either way, another discussion for another day. What some have argued is that the effect on the brain is if you give it too much from an outside source, the brain then thinks, oh, I don't need to make this anymore because it's coming from somewhere else. And then it stops. And in which case, if you stop smoking marijuana, you're going to become, according to certain people, extremely depressed. Okay? Now, I'm no doctor. I'm no expert. And I, can't speak to how true that is or is not. But that's the only argument I've heard that's basically saying that it could be some sort of an addiction to marijuana because it's going to impact your brain being able to produce the chemical that naturally stimulates you and makes you happy. But that aside, most people are probably, going to just simply use it for casual things. Just like drinking. Not everyone goes home every night and drinks so many beers till they're crashed in the floor. Some people do. Most people don't. Same thing with marijuana. If you want to come home at night and smoke, and you're not bothering anybody, what? And here's the thing, as far as Joe Biden's whole argument goes. Even if we were going to play devil's advocate for old crazy Joe here and say marijuana is a gateway drug. And here's the thing, okay? I'm not condoning people using worse things when I say that. Here's the point. You're supposed to be in a free country, right? I should have the right to do whatever I want to do in my house as long as it does not threaten the life of anyone else. Even if it's tearing my own health apart. Even if it's literally just killing me to do it. Who is the federal government to tell me that I can't do it? And you know why? They don't have that right. They've already set the precedent up for themselves. Take the Constitution out of it. Take your Bill of Rights out of it. Because that's going to be your strongest argument right there. But what else they have done? They have set the precedent for you to make the argument. I can harm, damage myself as much as I want. And you need to shut your mouth and mind your own business and let me do what I want to do. And you know why you can make that argument? Because they let you smoke cigarettes. And it is not disputable, cigarettes are far, far worse for your health than smoking marijuana. Now, smoke inhalation of any kind will take its toll on your lungs. However, there are many, many, many medicinal benefits to marijuana. That has been established, it's proven, whatever. If you still want to live under a rock and deny that, you do you, man. But if you don't want to join the rest of us out here in reality, that's your choice, okay? But the fact is, it has many medicinal benefits. What medicinal benefit does tobacco have? Because I haven't heard about that one. Now, some people say that, well, marijuana will tar up your lungs as well. But even if it does, and I'm not going to dispute that it does. So, but even still, okay, we'll put it that way. Even still, the health benefits that come out of it can treat glaucoma, helps cancer patients, helps relieve pain in a way better than most pain medication on the market today that comes with, being highly addictive as a side effect to it. These are all great things, okay? And even if you take all that harmful stuff that might come with marijuana, lump it all into one basket. The government is there to protect the people, but they're not there to protect you from yourself. And if they were, they'd be trying to get rid of cigarettes, and they're not. So this is just another clear issue that one, Joe Biden is a complete relic and a dinosaur when it comes to issues like this, and someone like Andrew Yang is much more in touch with, one, what the people want, and two, actually has the right ideas for this, which is people want it, people are going to use it. They're either going to get it through the illegal underground black market, or they can buy it legally with it being, regulated. Which you, by regulating it and having it legal, means you also take away the risk, because on this black market, you don't know just what you're buying, man. Some people are smart enough to kind of have a good, trustworthy relationship with who they buy it from, while others would just buy pot off anybody selling. In which case, you could be like Smokey on Friday and end up smoking some pot laced with some angel dust. You don't know what you're getting a hold of, and that's definitely not a good thing. So, you buying laced pot that's laced with heavier substances, that is also how a lot of people get into these other substances as well, when they end up trying stuff laced. Okay, so when you regulate it, you're taking a lot of problems off the table. You're also going to be taking in income through tax revenues over sales and things like that. So hey, this shows again just how behind the times Joe Biden is, and Andrew Yang definitely has the right vision for this issue. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Independent Report. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up and like the video. Also, if you have any questions or comments that you'd like to ask or topics you'd like us to cover, please drop a comment in the comment box below. And also, please subscribe to the channel. And if you do subscribe, ring that bell so you'll stay up to date when we drop new videos and you'll get notifications of it. And also, please support us on Patreon. Funds are going to be used to grow and improve this channel so we can reach more and more people and spread the message that the mainstream media doesn't want to tell people. We hope you'll tune in next time.